So I already did this video talking about the Crunchyroll purchase by, or at least for their streaming service by Sony, and to an extent they will probably put it under Funimation. And I kind of want to do this thing where I talked about why I despise Sony so much. Well, not despise, like this is probably news to people, but more like a video on why I loathe both Disney and Sony the way I do. Like Sony, some people think it's a Japanese-based company. I'm pretty sure that's wrong. I think Real Life Ryan pointed this out once. Well, no, he said this, and I wanted to just say to any people who think it's a Japanese-based company, it's not. Last I heard, they moved their headquarters from Japan to California. And I've made my hate boner for California very apparent in past videos, I'm sure. But, yeah, no, California is like the retardville of the United States. No, it's more like the Australia of the United States, except they don't have a sexy accent. Like, California, if I could, I would nuke it from orbit. Like, if I was put in charge of things and they told me I could do it or the front flipping fuck I want, I would be like, okay, build a wall around California, then nuke it for funsies. I'm joking, of course. I would never do that to Californians. That'd be a waste of a nuke. And also a waste of lives. Like, I'd rather just wall it up and say you can never leave here again. I'd use that as a dumping ground. Like, every time we get an illegal or someone who can't shut up about how much they hate America, force them to live in California. And they're like, okay, this is technically no longer part of the United States, so have fun. Like, that's the Badlands. It's just the Mad Max area. Anyone can do what they want. And if you try to leave, you get bullsies. Bulletsies. I don't... You get a strong encouragement to stay is what I'm saying. I'm not going to say why, because knowing YouTube's bullshit, I'll probably get a strike for this. Like, there's probably some other things they'll give me a strike for with some accidental stuff with past videos, but yeah. So that's one reason I hate Sony. The other reason is they are censorship happy. They love censorship, and much like the modern comic book industry, they love injecting their political bullshit into the products they give. And they censor stuff that doesn't make any sense. Like when Devil May Cry 5 came out, there was a shot of Trish's ass. They censored that out with some lens flare. That kind of shows how prudish they are. That even an ass is not safe from their censorship. And much like Disney, they want to buy everything. And to move on to why I hate Disney, well, they have perfected what I like to call Disney syndrome. Or the Disney effect. They have to sanitize every fucking thing under the sun, and it infuriates me. It really does. I like some violence. I like some bloodshed. That was one of the reasons I used to like Game of Thrones. Well, actually, no, not one of the reasons. I actually like the story of it, but the bloodshed was okay as well. And it's just... And I get what Disney does the excuse of they're a family-friendly brand, but they buy everything under the fucking sun. They want to. They and Sony both have this wet dream of wanting to own everything under the sun so no one has a choice but to take the bullshit they're peddling. Like, Disney even buys stuff that makes no fucking sense. Like, they bought either it was Alien or Predator. And then they put Noah Hawley in charge of it. I mean, that was kind of a safe bet, I thought, initially, because he made Legion. He kind of earned my trust there. Then I heard the pitch of it, and I'm like, okay, fuck Noah Hawley. Fuck him to death. Not literally, of course. He's married, and God only knows he's not my type. Well, I think he's married anyway. And Disney... They just do this nonstop. They buy products people love, and then they ruin them. They bought Star Wars. They ruined it, and it's no longer worth defending. They bought... Well, semi-not worth defending. Like, I still defend some aspects of Star Wars, or at least make my contempt vocal. Like what happened with Slave 1 and Gina Carano. Again, they buy stuff that makes no sense them owning. I mean, Star Wars... Actually, no, that just pissed people off. They bought it just to own it and to bleed it dry for money. And then they gutted all the expanded universe stuff that people loved so they could make their own bullshit. Like, they could have just set their movies in the expanded universe. That would have been much cooler if they actually hired people who weren't hacks. And yeah, fuck, it's stupid. Another thing I hate about Disney is it attracts like scumbags like Bob Iger, like Bob fucking Iger, the type of man who will lie to your face about something, make a handshake agreement, and has no intention of honoring it. Like that type of person, I wouldn't trust to wipe my ass, let alone put in charge of my legacy or trust with it. Hell, I wouldn't have trusted Kathleen Kennedy. Like George Lucas either had to be high or way too trusting with Kathleen Kennedy when he made that decision. Because, and for the record, I respect George Lucas. But that is the one of two decisions he made in his life that I would almost vociferously argue against. Like, if I was there when he made that decision, I'd be like, Georgie, that is a bad call. That is a very bad call. This broad is a businesswoman only. That is her only marketable skill. Other than that, she's deadwood. She's dead weight. Actually, no, I wouldn't call her deadwood because that was an awesome show and people might mix up the two. She is dead weight outside of business. She is creatively bankrupt. And on top of that, the stuff that Disney puts out that they buy... Actually, Mad Mike pointed this out once as a joke. So they basically make their movies like that in Star Wars like they make their... like the company itself, soulless and bereft of creativity. And they attract... They're like Mos Eisley. You will never find a greater hive of scum and villainy. They are soulless, conscienceless, or they have no conscience. They will do anything to make a buck, which normally I would respect, mind you. Like, I love money, I love making money, I love having my hands on money, but they take it to an extreme. And, yeah, they really go overboard. Like they're so money grubby, it almost makes me, I don't know whether to be impressed or disgusted. And kind of on top of all this, the Sony and Disney actually have something in common that makes me hate them both equally. Actually, I forgot what I was going to say, so I'll have to come back to that later, or never at all. But, and I kind of think, one more thing I hate about Disney is, like, this is a good quote by Red Letter Media. How does it feel to live long enough to see all the products you grew up with just burn to the ground, or not completely to that effect? That perfectly encapsulates why I hate Disney, to be perfectly honest, because they ruined everything from my childhood, probably, if they could. Like, the stuff I grew up watching, they would destroy in a heartbeat. And to that I respond with, not what Richie from Red Letter Media said, but I actually have to respond with what Mad Mike said. At this point in my life, pretty fitting or appropriate. Actually, no, I think he said it, at this point in my life it's pretty appropriate, but yeah, that kind of feels about right. Another thing, and one last thing that is like the cherry on top of my hatred for Disney. They are so morally bankrupt, but they act all high and mighty like they're better than everyone or morally superior. This is why I hate Disney the most. This is why if something happened to Disney tomorrow, I would not feel an ounce of sympathy for anyone who works for them. They work with communists, people who take organs from the Uyghurs, who force them to... And for the record, I found this funny, initially. They forced the Uyghurs to drink alcohol and eat pork. Well, now it's not so funny looking back. They will do anything for money. They pander to a country that is racist, does not like black people, apparently, and violates human rights on probably a bi-weekly basis. And to any Chinese people who are going to see this after they take over, nothing personal. I just like to rag on Disney. Although if I've already been killed, fuck you. I'll see you in hell. And back to Sony, like the main thing that always has annoyed me about them is their puritanical bullshit. They act all tolerant in that, but they have no tolerance for anything for stuff like fan service. They have no tolerance of an ideology that is different than theirs. Which is why I'm kind of glad some people in Japan aren't taking this line down. They're actually pushing back. I hope they continue to push back. I hope they bend Sony and these other censorship-happy pieces of shit over the table or the barrel and show them 50 states. And probably the worst thing of all that really infuriates me the most, probably, and this is more so on Disney's part than Sony's, which I really thought I would be doing more on Sony, but the more I thought about it, the more I realized, yeah, I don't have as much to bitch about Sony as I thought. But Disney, they capitulate to an angry mob. They are spineless. They are a soulless corporation, but most of all, they are spineless and ballless. Like, I would never want to work for them in a million years, to be perfectly honest. Like, if one day someone told me Disney wanted to do something with something I made, or they wanted to hire me for something, I'd be like, fuck off. Actually, no. Tell whoever's in charge of Disney now that Nathan said to go fuck themselves. That would be my response. Like, let's say one day, by some miracle of God, I finish a story and someone wants to make a movie out of it. If someone even associated with Disney or connected to it in some way came up and said they wanted to adapt it into like a movie or something, I'd be like, fuck off. I would sooner shake hands with the devil than make a deal with Disney. Actually, Disney's not that far off from being like the devil. They lie to your face. They screw you over at any possible chance they can. They are some of the scummiest people in the world. The only difference is Lucifer at least has an excuse for why he's doing it. Disney's excuse is they just want to make as much money as possible and they don't want to anger the people that they're pandering to. And I say anytime you capitulate or pander to an angry mob, you are the most lowest kind of person. You are not worthy of respect. You could be dying and I would spit on you if you were that type of person. Hell, you could be on fire and I wouldn't piss on you to put out the fire. And that's more or less why I hate these two companies. More so Disney. And sorry for this rant. Like, I'm pretty sure I expected there to be more about Sony, but the only other thing I can complain about is they fuck up the dubs. They really do. Or Funimation does, at least, which is owned by Sony, and Sony allows them to do this because they know no one's going to do anything about it. What I mean by this is there's scenes in anime where they will record voice lines for it, but they will not ever... They do not always get it exactly right. They will inject some kind of socio-political bullshit or gender politics bullshit. And they can't leave anything alone. They cannot let us have nice things. They act like they're giving us nice things. They're not. They are fucking with us at every turn, and I really wish people would call them out more and more. Some people do, but not a whole lot. And with that out of the way, I think I'm done with this rant. I'm pretty sure I've gone longer than I intended to, and it veered way off course. Like, it went way off the rails. Sorry about that. I just wanted to rant on this and kind of vent my frustrations, which is good to do. If you don't vent it, eventually you'll just explode like a bomb. You know those explosions you hear about going on in Ireland? Those aren't bombs. Those are guys who've been forced to hold it in for so long. One day they just can't take it and go, boom, they go. So yeah, that was my rant. Don't really know if I want to publish this one or not. But, yeah. That's the video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you hated it, can't really fault you. Have a nice day, and remember the game was rigged from the start.